Please welcome your host, Kim Crable.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee. It's so good to see you. Audience, you look fabulous. Give each other a high five and wave. So good to see you. Thank you so much for coming. And to all of our friends at home, I wish I could just reach to the camera and give you one of those big old hugs. And although that's not possible, we strive to create each of our shows featuring incredible guests whose wisdom wraps around us like a warm embrace that snuggles us up close to each other's hearts and really speaks God's love and His hope and His encouragement, reminding all of us that we are not alone, but deeply cherished and valued. Throughout our time together and in our conversations we have, I hope we are creating, and I think that we are, creating spaces where moments of friendships really happen, kind of like the one that C.S. Lewis talks about, where we look at each other and we say, "What? You too? I thought I was the only one." And speaking of quotes, I have another favorite by Ralph Waldo Emerson. He says, "What lies behind and what lies before are tiny matters compared to what lies within us." Gosh, I love those words. They bring thoughts of such personal potential, don't you think? But how many of us look inside and rather than finding a lot of possibility, we find secret pain tucked in the darkness? What do we do when that's all that we see? Where's the hope in that? Well, today's guest, Jason VanRuler, has a plan. He is one of the nation's most sought-after licensed therapists who can offer valuable insights into this topic. Having faced his own challenges, including childhood trauma, substance abuse, and depression, Jason understands the experience of brokenness intimately. Through his journey, he has discovered purpose and penned an incredible book entitled Get Past Your Past. Friends, when we return, Jason VanRuler himself will be joining us to share how confronting our broken places can lead not only to true healing, but also to a future filled with hope and possibilities. We'll be right back.
Kim Crable knows all about hidden shame and regret. From the time she experienced a life-altering trauma at age 4, Kim became an expert in hiding her hurt and confusion. In her transparent story, Burdens to Blessings, Kim invites you along the journey from shame and sadness towards healing and hope. Simply go to www.kimcrable.org. Discover the confidence and courage to be you again, and discover the power of your story.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee. What a great day. You tuned in because in the house we have great therapist, a man of so much wisdom, the man himself, Jason VanRuler. Jason, come out and join us. Yay. Yay. Thank you so much. Right here and have a seat. Oh, my goodness, it's so good to have you back. Thank you.
It's great to be back.
You know, after our first show, audience, I don't know, and friends at home, what we did was I had so many questions for you. You remember, don't you?
I remember.
I just rolled it out. It just went from here to there.
There was a long list.
It was a long list, and you know, we only talked about 2 or 3 of those things.
It's true.
And you agreed to come back, so thank you so much.
It's an honor.
And my list has gotten any shorter. If nothing else, it's gotten longer.
I'll talk fast.
Yeah, talk fast. Yeah, there you go. So just to, get the audience familiar with you, one of the things, again, is one of the things that you say in the book is that, and one of the things that I love about therapists and counselors is that you've said that you had to get past your past. Mm-hmm. What would you like to tell us about that? Maybe just a little something that just helps us understand, what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the people who give the best wisdom give it because they've been through it,
yes.
Right? And so I didn't sign up to get that wisdom, but I got it.
Yes.
And so just went through my parents' divorce when I was really young, had trauma and abuse and a really tough childhood, lots of moving. And so I did that thing that people do when they graduate and they just go, I'm never coming back. I'm going to do everything differently. But then I did everything the same. So every day was like, well, I'm going to do a whole new life. And what I did is just repeated the stuff because I hadn't dealt with it. And so I know what it's like to be really wounded and hurt, and to want it to be different but not know how, and to find yourself in the same place, but it being your fault this time, right? And that was really hard for me, is I go, well, before I kind of knew who I could pin this on, right? It's like, this is you. But being, in my 20s, I kind of looked at it and I said, oh, this is a lot on me. And what do I do now? And so that, I think for me, there was some pivotal moments where seeds were planted, and God showed up for me, and I had to learn to listen to God. It turns out God was there the whole time. I just wasn't a great listener. And so when I started to, my life began to change. And so that's really what the book is born out of, is I feel like the people who I want to follow, who are going to be helpful, are the people who did it first.
Yes.
And so that's why I wrote the book, is I was just like, hey, if I can save you time or heartache, I'd love to.
And it's a wonderful book, and you can see where I have it marked up, and I've
Looks like you barely marked it.
Yeah,
Yeah, barely.
Only about 50 in here. One of the things you said that I think that really caught my attention was, you said in my early 20s, I started thinking, hey, this is on me. Most people don't get there. Yeah. What caused you to, I'm working with people who are 60, 70, and 80 that haven't been able to realize that and come to that acknowledgement. What helped you get there? Was it just your desire to change, or, help the people who are listening? How do you get to that first point?
Well, it was not a desire to change. It really wasn't. I think my heart wanted that. I think at the moment, though, that's not what I was searching for. I've just always been a pattern guy and a theme guy. And so I found myself just going, out of all these struggles, like, who's the common denominator? Who's the person that's showing up in all of these? And it was me. And so what I did initially is I went, well, then everything's my fault, right? So you kind of do that opposite extreme where you go, well, none of it's my fault or all of it's my fault.
Yes.
And you have to kind of process through and just say, like, I'll own my part, and some other people have parts, but I have to start with mine. Because if I can't own mine, I'm not going to get anywhere.
Jason, I can remember thinking, oh, these people are crazy. I've got to get away. I've got to go here. I've got to go there. But then when I get there, it's like, I've got the same problems. What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
It's like, oh, and maybe it might be me. And that's a good place and a hard place to be, because that's the place of decision, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do we do there? I think a lot of people understand it, but we're afraid of it. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that fear is real because it's change, right? And it's different. So it's, a lot of people say, well, I can't predict the future. Well, you can if you just keep doing the same thing. You actually can predict the future because it'll look a lot like it looks today, only probably worse over time.
Yes.
And so I think that decision is really, is it bad enough that I want to take a risk on something new?
Yes.
And then if I'm willing, how small do I make that step? What a lot of people do is they decide that they want to make change, they make a declaration, and they attempt to change everything all at once.
Yes.
Right, which is a great process.
You looked at me like you knew I'd done it.
I know you know, and you know I know. Yeah, I have been there, done that.
Yes.
But then it doesn't
it's
work.
Right.
Yeah, it's too much, right? And so we go from this place of like not doing anything to doing too much, and then we convince ourselves that that's why we shouldn't have done it, and we stop.
Yeah. Talk about how we need people in our lives, because this is where I was. It was like I was so embarrassed to come out and tell people how hurt I was on the inside. I was doing all the right things. I was leading women's ministry. I was wearing the cute shoes. I knew the scriptures to say. I knew. We know how to play the game, right? And I kept thinking to myself, I'm going to fix me, and then I'm going to go out into the world and go, ta-da, I'm okay now.
Yeah.
But God really put it on my heart. It's like, no, you need people to help you through this journey. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. You need people who want to know how it is, not how it looks.
Yes.
And what happens is sometimes we get so good at kind of convincing people that it looks good, and so therefore it is good, when the truth is behind closed doors or at home, it's really not. And so I've wrestled with that. I think everybody wrestles with that. We all want to be seen positively.
Yes.
We all want to be seen in a good light, and yet no one changes in that light. Right? And so the thing that I have learned to love is people who are vulnerable enough to say when they're struggling. It doesn't mean you always have to be struggling, but the people who are willing to say, it's kind of embarrassing, or maybe this doesn't look great, or maybe you'll even think differently of me, but here's what's going on, I need help.
Yeah, we don't change when we're doing that, but we connect when we were our most authentic. Don't you think? That's, like I always say, you're not going to, like I'm not taking you home for lunch if you're perfect, but if you got some problems and you're kind of more like me, like the C.S. Lewis, it's like then we're not alone, we have something to talk about. Do you think that in our world that we're so afraid of facing what is hurting that we're missing our own true lives?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think, yes. I mean, I think what happens is we connect our problems to our worth. And so for us to see problems means we have less worth. And so then if everything's about your self-worth, what do you do? Now, being faith people like we are, I mean, the good news is we have worth no matter what.
Yes.
Right? And so if we have worth no matter what, we can look at problems and work through them. You can have a lot of problems and still be worthy. But I think a lot of times that's lost. And so we just go to admit this issue means I'm less than. And if I'm less than, that's a whole new problem and I don't want to deal with it.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you and I both can talk this. And I want to go back and say I'm sorry for the abuse that you endured as a little boy. I know that life and it's not good. And do you still have triggers of things? Do you ever revert back to that little boy feeling a little bit?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Good. That makes me feel so much better.
No, you're the only one. No one else has ever done that. Yeah, it's just you, actually.
It's just me. Oh, but now the whole... But, you know, I mean, like, even every time I start the show, when I'm starting to do the monologue, I feel that, like, when I walk out here, I feel like that little girl is saying, don't mess up. And it's like I constantly have to go, and I'm being really vulnerable here. Yeah. But I want to be, because that's where I have to focus on God. And I have to remember I'm not working for the applause of people, but for the approval of God. And I think, isn't that what causes us to really, is that what we need to be able to step out and say, God already approves of me, whether people applause or not? I've got to find me.
Yeah, and I've got to be okay with that.
Yes.
And I've got to be okay with God. You know, and you aren't the only one, by the way. I mean, for me,
Boy, that makes me...
I experience that a lot. And for me, it's a slight variation, but it's can I win people over so I'm okay?
Yes.
And so it's kind of come out, but I notice I'll even carry myself differently. I might kind of put my shoulders down and kind of actually look younger than myself, which the older I get, I'm like, that's a skill. I want to continue to look younger than myself. But I find myself in that moment just going like, this isn't adult Jason, this is someone else.
Right.
Yeah, and so the thing that I have to remind myself of is I don't have to win God over.
Yes.
And so then I'm okay. And so whatever happens, happens, and I'll still be okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is a mindset that for anyone who's had, and everyone I think has something, that when those triggers come up, that you have to have a plan on what you say to carry yourself through it. Jason, and you have the best Instagram ever with all, and everyone, it'll run across the screen so that you can see it, his advice, and the way you present it. The way you present it, Jason, lets me know that you know not only the academic field of it and the intellectual side of it, but you feel the emotion. And that's what I love about people. And that's why we started with tell us something about yourself so people could get to know you. But one of the things on your Instagram that you say is generational patterns don't just break because time passes. They break because someone is brave enough to stop running and start healing. Oh my gosh, I love that. Talk to us about that, because
well, I like to run. I mean, I'm a runner, so I really enjoy a good run. So I could get used to that.
Yes.
But I think that's what happens, right? Is these wounds and these issues that we have, they're just passed on and passed on and passed on.
Yes.
And people are overwhelmed, and so we end up seeing entire generations facing the problem the generation before them faced.
Yes.
Still not sure what to do about it. And so, you know, we call those people like the pattern breakers, the trauma breakers, who really turn around. Instead of running, they just say, I'm going to face it, and I'm going to create a different legacy, and it's going to be messy, but it's worth it. And so that's a messy job sometimes that feels kind of thankless. But if you think about it, like what you're really doing is not only changing your own life, but the life of your child, their children's lives. Like you are effectively changing history.
Yes. Well, that's exactly it. And I think that for me, it's like the way I see it is you get to the point to where you almost have to stop fighting your past and really start fighting for your future and break some of those chains and those barriers. And, you know, my brother, I'm so proud of him. He was the first male in his family for 4 or 5 generations that did not have a drinking problem, didn't have that horrible relationship with alcohol. That's the way to say it now, relationship with alcohol. It's like, oh, well, whatever. You know,
It's a
I guess
nicer way to say it. Yeah, we all know what that means, but
That's
sure.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. But I was so proud because he broke that. Now, what the other generations will do, they'll do. But, you know, it's almost like in every generation, someone can stand up and say, I'm going to battle it. It's going to stop with me. And that's what you did as well. So
yeah, I
you
mean
have a
that's
son,
the
right?
hope. Yeah, I've got 3 kids, and I want to do it differently for them.
Yes.
But it takes work, and what I try to convince people of, and I truly believe, is it's an opportunity. It is truly an opportunity because so many people will say to me, Jason, I want to make an impact. How do I make an impact? Start with you.
Yes.
Start with your family. Start with your home. Do it different.
Yes. I love that because everybody says we're going to change the world when really, what is that old saying? To change the world, you start making your bed every day because you start patterns of something that's positive and something that's better than what you have. Well, now we'll get to the questions I really had.
Yeah, now let's get started. That was great. It was a good little warm-up.
It really was, because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I love these conversations, because they are hopeful. For so many years, Jason, I felt stuck. Did you feel stuck?
Yeah, of course.
So stuck. I would look behind me, and I would see the pattern, and I think, well, this is the way we go to church, You know, it's like, follow the rules, do whatever. I never realized until God told me one time. You know, it's like, Kim, you're not okay, but you can be. And that was the most hopeful thing. And that's more than anything that I want to give to our audience, is that no matter what your past looks like, your future can be full of hope.
Absolutely.
And it starts with a relationship with Christ, obviously, and then being intentional, right?
Yeah, and just taking the next step. I mean, I think if you've had a difficult past, so many people kind of live in the graveyard, right? They live in the place where nothing new is going to happen, and they set up shop there. And so really the first step is just acknowledging you could leave if you wanted to.
Yes.
It may be hard, it may be scary, but you could, and you're not alone doing that.
Yes.
And I think when you take that first step out, I mean, your whole world changes.
Yes. So for anyone that's listening today, you know, one of my things was, I thought, if I ever tell the truth, number one, I'll never have a friend, because they won't really like, they just like the pretend version, which was totally not true. And then secondly, I thought, if I really face the hurt, if I were to start crying, I don't know that I would ever stop crying. That's a real fear, that we feel like we're just going to fall into this darkness. Talk to someone who might be feeling that right now.
I mean, I hear that a lot, right?
Do
So
you?
people come to my office, and I always love it because they'll talk about a lot of trauma and issues, and they'll just say, how long is this going to take? You know, and I'm going to cry, but it should only be like 2 or 3 minutes. You know, I want to put some limits on this.
Yes.
And I go, yes, I'm timing you. 2 minutes is all you get. No, I mean, the thing is, it's like, maybe you need to cry. Maybe you need to hurt for a while because it's not working this way.
Yes.
And so what I know to be true about people is that that's a valid fear. And I've also never worked with anyone that's been a wildly different person in terms of their personality. They're still the same person, probably better.
Yes.
Right? But it doesn't do us any good to run. And so if you are holding back feeling the thing, it's only going to help you to feel it. I think there's good ways to do that and safe ways to do that, but you have to feel it.
Absolutely, and not fear it. It's like, if you use the power of prayer. One of the things in the healing that I heard you say is some of the things were your fault, some were not. Same with, I think, most abusive situations. And speaking of that, when you're starting to deal with the past, there's going to be some conflict, right?
Yeah.
Probably. So what do we do when we think, I need to go talk to different people in my life? They may not be ready for this conversation. Do we go? What do we do?
Definitely pick a fight. That's what I do. Is I just go pick a fight with people.
Your sense of humor is great.
It's emotionally
Go pick a
loaded.
fight.
What could go wrong? Let's just go do this, right? You really wounded me. I want to talk to you. I think this is going to work out great.
Just put on a helmet first.
But,
right?
but we do that. And what happens is people get empowered because they want a different life. And so what they say is, well, I want a different life. I know it can be better. I want to give you that gift. And you hurt me, so I want to come to you and I want to talk to you about it. And we're going to be better.
Yes.
And what they miss is that everybody's got emotional capacity, and it's different, right? And so some people have a really narrow band of emotional capacity. And so that's not a personal thing against you, it's just what it is.
Right.
And so if we're not careful, we go into those situations with our insight and our awareness and huge emotional capacity, and we overwhelm the person instantly.
Yes.
Okay? And overwhelmed people do not react well. Right? If you look at those
Defensive, right?
scare videos, or,
Yes.
you know, people jump or they make
Yes.
funny noises, or it's not a good look.
Right.
And so really the first step is, how do I meet them where they're at and start a conversation rather than maybe have the only conversation?
So let's do some role playing. Let's just say you're coming to me and you are going to talk to me about the past and the hurt that I brought on you. Just give me an example of how you would start that conversation.
Yeah, I want to know what it is I'm trying to say to you. And the thing that I would prompt someone is, what do you want to get out of it? Right? So what is the purpose here? What's the outcome you want? And I would literally tell the person, hey, today I want to sit down with you for just a minute. And this is the other thing, is short.
Yes.
Right? So we're not inviting them into a 3-hour-long conversation. It's, I want to sit down with you for a moment. I want to tell you some ways that my feelings were hurt. I don't expect a response right now. My hope is that just simply you understand what I'm saying, or at least acknowledge it hurt me. Okay.
Good
Makes
stuff.
it really easy for somebody to show up, right? Because it just kind of is reduced to, well, I do it or won't I?
Yes. Yeah.
That's a good start. Now, if it gets bigger than that, amazing. But you have to kind of meet the person on a small level before you build into the bigger.
Yeah, I love that. I love setting the expectation. It just kind of takes the surprise out of it, doesn't it? And it also shows that you've really thought through it. You know, that you're doing, it's intentional, and so I really like that. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what to ask.
I might add one more thing.
Yes.
If your outcome is that the person's different, you should wait until that outcome changes. Because sometimes we go into that conversation, we say, I'm going to talk to you, and then today you need to be different. And so if you need to be different as a result of what I say, that's more about me than you. And so we just have to be
Yes.
careful, because we'll probably be let down.
Yes.
People don't usually change that way.
Right.
And so we want to start small. And the reason I want you to start small is not everyone is going to be relationally connected to you in a way that deserves your vulnerability. Right? And so not everyone needs to hear the deep story, because they're not going to be able to handle it well.
Right. Love that. Love that. Okay, so you talk about, in thinking about the whole concept of talking to someone, another thing that I pulled off your Instagram is overthinking is the brain's attempt to control what the heart is afraid to feel, which kind of goes right along with what we're talking about now. So let's talk about that, because that really caught my attention. Overthinking is the brain's attempt to control what the heart is afraid to feel. Fear is a big factor in relationships, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, probably the biggest,
Yeah.
right, is our fear of rejection, or our fear of not being enough, or whatever that fear is. That shows up and informs a lot of what we do. And so people will come to me and they'll say, I'm overthinking. Let's talk about the thinking.
Right.
I'll say, well, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the emotion.
Yeah.
And the emotion is usually fear.
Fear. And so what do you tell them? I mean, all of this is in small steps, right? Small steps. We got 1 minute left. What do you say to them? Like, if someone comes in and they say, I want change, what do you say to them? Sign them up for a 6 months program. Like,
I've got a contract that you can fill out, and so on the fear thing, I mean, if they say I'm afraid, one of the things that I'll do is I'll say, like, I would be too.
Yeah. Yes.
So we normalize that.
alone.
I mean, a lot of
Not
times
alone.
people are afraid about stuff you should be afraid about.
Right.
And so they're just doing this mental thing, telling themselves should or shouldn't. If someone wants to change, I just say, like, that's an amazing place to start. What's the first step? And as small as possible.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like to really, and while I was saying that in jest about the 6 months, you allow yourself time.
Yeah.
You know, don't expect
you're
it
worth it.
overnight. Right.
Yeah, your story is worth some time.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're creating the story. We have to take a break, and then we'll be right back.
Kim Crable knows all about hidden shame and regret. From the time she experienced a life-altering trauma at age 4, Kim became an expert in hiding her hurt and confusion. In her transparent story, Burdens to Blessings, Kim invites you along the journey from shame and sadness towards healing and hope. Simply go to www.kimcrable.org.
Hello, everyone, and Welcome back to Coffee. Well, I'm not even going to talk a lot. We're going to go right back. We have too much to talk about in the little bit of time. Thank you for coming again. Jason, there's a scripture that says in Romans 12:18, it says, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with others. What is that saying? Do we keep trying? Is there a point where we just come to where we just have to realize it's not going to be better? How do you read that?
Yeah, well, we all want peace. I mean, I think anybody listening, watching that's what we're all seeking is peace.
Yes.
And we have a great role in how much peace we feel in our life. And so what our job is to establish it for ourselves and see if we can have it with others. I think what sometimes we do is we look to somebody else to give us peace, and then we're disappointed when they don't. And that is often more out of our woundedness than not. And so we all want peace. We just have to start to build it for ourselves.
Well, I like what you said there, and thank you so much. But the woundedness, I was sharing with you earlier, I've learned that there are times when I catch myself still speaking from that little girl's woundedness. Do you?
Yeah, I do. It's not a little girl that I speak from, but I have that little boy's woundedness, and so that happens for me. Just saying. I mean, for me, it's a little different, but no, that wound comes out because it's part of us.
Yes.
But here's the thing, and I think you've probably done this too. I've learned to love that part of me.
Yes.
Because that part of me didn't feel lovable.
Yes.
And so I've learned to just say, like, welcome, but I'm going to take the lead on this, and just kind of stepping into that, but acknowledging it. And sometimes when we're in that place, it's because we're just telling the truth, and it just feels that way.
And get to the place to where you're okay with where you are and who you are. I have a question or a thought that I hope you're comfortable with this.
Yeah.
The adult man, Jason, what would you now say to the little boy, Jason, when he was hurting at his worst point? What would you say to him?
Yeah, I mean, I think the honest thing would be this is all going to be part of your story, and God's going to use it. I mean, that's the truth. I think the thing that probably I needed to hear most was just you're okay. You don't have to try so hard. I think at a young age, I sort of wrapped up value with trying. Yeah. And so I've always tried really hard. And so I think it would have been really helpful just to say, like, hey, you don't have to try so hard. Like, you're going to be okay. People like you or don't like you, but you're fine either way. That would have saved me years and some therapy bills, to be honest. Yeah. But it would have been good to hear. But
maybe that's what caused you to be the great therapist you are.
It's true. I wouldn't have been here without it. And so right. I have perspective now, which says that, that part of my story was for this part of my story.
Absolutely. Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much for joining me. Listen, friends, thank you for joining me. I hope that you love this. You can see all the ways that you can reach out to Jason. And I think here's the thing. Remember, your story really does matter. You matter. Romans 8:28 says he is working all things to our good. If it's not good, he's not finished. Keep going. You're worth it. Get in the Word. It's full of hope. Thank you so much for joining us on Coffee today. Jason, thank you.